Title suggestion: Why your morning routine is failing according to Marcus Aurelius. Hook. The most powerful man in the world woke up every single morning and told himself that his day was going to be a disaster. Think about that. While every modern guru tells you to manifest success, to visualize your wins, and to crush it, the Emperor of Rome, a man who commanded 15 legions and held the power of life and death over millions, sat down in the mud of a battlefield and wrote that he expected to be met with ingratitude, arrogance, and betrayal before the sun even hit its peak. In 170 AD, Marcus Aurelius didn't write a self-help book. He wrote a survival manual for his own mind while the world around him was literally burning. He wasn't writing for us, he was writing to keep himself from breaking under the weight of an empire. If you think your job is high pressure, if you think your competitors are ruthless, or if you feel like the world is chaotic, you are about to realize that a man 2,000 years ago already solved your specific problem while fighting a war on the frozen banks of the Danube. Context bridge. We are in the territory of the Quadi, modern-day Slovakia. The year is approximately 172. It is cold. It is damp. The air smells of wet wool, horse manure, and wood smoke. Marcus Aurelius is not in a palace in Rome. He hasn't seen the marble halls of the Palatine Hill in years. He is in a leather-walled tent, the Praetorium, surrounded by men who would kill him if the line of the frontier broke. To his north, Germanic tribes, the Marcomanni and the Quadi, are raiding Roman territory with a ferocity the empire hasn't seen in centuries. To his south, a plague, brought back from the Parthian Wars, is gutting the population of Rome. His friends are dying. His soldiers are dying. His own health is failing. He is 51 years old, but he feels like 80. Did you know that Marcus Aurelius was never supposed to be the philosopher king? He was a scholar who wanted a quiet life of books. He was thrust into the most violent period of Roman history and told to lead. This is the bridge between his world and yours. We often think of leadership as a series of grand speeches and victory laps. Marcus knew the truth. Leadership is a series of internal battles fought in the quiet moments before the world demands something of you. When you wake up and dread your inbox, you are on the Danube. When your business partner betrays your trust, you are in the territory of the Quadi. When you feel the crushing weight of a decision that affects the livelihoods of your employees, you are wearing the purple robe. Book 2 of the Meditations was written among the Quadi on the Granua. It is the sound of a man talking himself off the ledge of despair. It is the most practical philosophy ever put to parchment. Core Teaching 1, the Pre Mortem of Personality. Let's look at how he starts his day. Most people start with caffeine and scrolling. Marcus started with a brutal internal confrontation. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good, and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not a kinship of blood or birth, but of the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. Decode this. Marcus isn't being a pessimist. He is practicing premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Think about the last time someone was rude to you at work. Your blood pressure spiked. You spent the next 3 hours rehearsing an argument in your head. Why? Because you were surprised. You expected them to be rational. You expected them to be kind. Marcus says, why would you expect that? Take a company like Disney in the early 2000s. Internal politics were so toxic that executives were actively sabotaging each other's projects. If you entered that environment expecting magic, you were crushed. If you entered like Marcus, knowing that meddling and ungrateful people are a statistical certainty of the human condition, you remained untouchable. The actionable principle is this: emotional stability is not the absence of conflict, it is the removal of the element of surprise. If you know the storm is coming, you don't get mad at the rain. You just put on a coat. Core Teaching 2: The Rejection of the Puppet Strings. Marcus moves deeper into the tent, deeper into his own mind. He looks at his distractions. Even an emperor has them. Every moment think steadily as a Roman and a man to do what thou hast in hand with perfect and simple dignity, and feeling of affection, and freedom, and justice, and to give thyself relief from all other thoughts. And thou wilt give thyself relief, if thou doest every act of thy life as if it were the last, laying aside all carelessness and passionate aversion from the commands of reason, and all hypocrisy, and self-love, and discontent with the portion which has been given to thee. In plain language, stop being a puppet. We live in the attention economy. Trillions of dollars are spent every year to find the specific string in your brain that, when pulled, makes you react. Anger, lust, envy, fear. Marcus calls this the puppet strings of impulse. Consider Steve Jobs. For all his flaws, Jobs had an almost Roman ability to do what thou hast in hand with perfect and simple dignity. When he returned to Apple in 1997, he cut the product line from 350 products to 10. He told his team, focusing is about saying no. He refused to let the market's impulse dictate Apple's soul. He became the puppeteer, not the puppet. When you check your phone the second you feel a ping of boredom, you are letting a 22-year-old engineer in Menlo Park pull your strings. You have lost your dignity as a man and a Roman. The actionable principle: treat your attention as your only true private property. Core Teaching 3: The Temporary Empire. Now, the emperor looks at his own legacy. He looks at the Danube and realizes it will still be flowing long after his bones are dust. Though thou shouldest be going to live 3,000 years, and as many times 10,000 years, still remember that no man loses any other life than this which he now lives, nor lives any other than this which he now loses. The longest and shortest are thus brought to the same. This is the ultimate perspective. It's a memento mori for your ego. The average lifespan of a Fortune 500 company is now less than 15 years. In the grand timeline of the universe, your career, your brand, and your legacy are a rounding error. Marcus Aurelius knew this. He knew that even if he conquered the entire world, people would forget his name within a few centuries. And he was right. Most people today only know him because of a movie starring Russell Crowe. But instead of making him nihilistic, this made him free. If the end is guaranteed, then the now is the only thing that has value. Think of a leader like Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia. He recently gave his entire company away to a trust to fight climate change. Why? Because he realized he didn't own the company. He was just a steward of it for a brief flash of time. By accepting the shortness of his tenure, he made a decision that will last longer than if he had tried to hoard it. The actionable principle: if you are playing for eternity, you have already lost. Play for the integrity of the next 10 minutes. Core Teaching 4: The Only Guide. Marcus concludes the book with a question that every one of us asks when things go wrong: what can actually help us? What then is that which is able to conduct a man? One thing and only one: philosophy. But this consists in keeping the demon within a man free from violence and unharmed, superior to pains and pleasures, doing nothing without a purpose, nor yet falsely and with hypocrisy, not feeling the need of another man's doing or not doing anything, and besides, accepting all that happens. He isn't talking about philosophy as an academic subject. He isn't talking about getting a PhD. He is talking about a demon: your inner character. Your operating system. In 2008, during the height of the financial crisis, Howard Schultz returned as CEO of Starbucks. The company was failing. The culture was broken. He didn't just look at the spreadsheets. He looked at the philosophy of the company. He shut down every store for a day to retrain baristas on how to make espresso. He did something with a purpose. He refused to act falsely. Your philosophy is the only thing you take with you into a crisis. If your philosophy is make money at all costs, you will break when the money stops. If your philosophy is integrity at all costs, you are unbreakable. The actionable principle, your character is your only truly recession-proof asset. Modern application, the strategist's weekly drill. You have heard the emperor's words. But Marcus was a man of action. He wouldn't want you to just watch this. He would want you to do it. Here are 3 concrete things you can do this week to bring the Danube to your front door. First, the morning pre-mortem. Tomorrow morning, before you look at your phone, identify the one person you are most likely to have a conflict with. A client, a boss, a spouse. Explicitly tell yourself, today, this person might be meddling, ungrateful, or arrogant. Visualize it happening. Then, visualize yourself responding with the beauty of good. When the conflict actually happens, you will feel a strange sense of calm. You'll think, yes. Marcus told me this was coming. Second, the puppet string audit. Pick 1 hour today where you are doing what is in hand. During that hour, every time you feel the impulse to check a notification, to open a new tab, or to walk to the fridge out of boredom, stop. Feel the string being pulled. Acknowledge it. Then, choose not to move. Reclaim your dignity as a man and a woman for 60 minutes. Do it with perfect and simple dignity. Third, the legacy filter. The next time you have to make a hard decision, one that involves your ego, your pride, or your fear of looking bad, ask yourself, in 10 years, will this decision matter? In 100 years? In 1,000? If the answer is no, then stop making the decision based on your ego. Make it based on what is just and right in the present moment. If your empire is temporary anyway, you might as well be a good person while you're running it. Apply these 3. Not because they are motivational, but because they are tactical. Close. Marcus Aurelius died a few years after writing these words. He died in the field, likely of the very plague he was trying to stop. He never saw his meditations published. He never knew that 1,000 years later, kings and presidents would sleep with his journal under their pillows. He didn't write for them. He wrote for the man in the tent. At the beginning of this video, I told you that the most powerful military strategy in history says to never fight to win. Marcus Aurelius lived that strategy. He didn't fight to win the world, he already had it. He fought to win his own mind. He knew that if he could control the space between his ears, the Germanic tribes and the plague and the betrayals were just noise. If you don't master your own mind, someone else will. A politician, an algorithm, or a competitor. The emperor figured this out on the frozen banks of a river in a world that no longer exists. But the human heart hasn't changed. The pressure hasn't changed. You are now in command of your own empire. Don't let the puppet strings pull you. If you want to understand the next phase of the emperor's mind, we'll be moving into Book 3 in the next episode, where Marcus tackles the one thing we all fear even more than conflict, the loss of our own abilities. The link to the full translation of Meditations is below. Read it. Not as a book, but as a report from the front lines. Class dismissed. End script.